Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I've been playing with the sports hernia in my brain for years, perna. And that never slowed down my ability to sit right here, look you in the eyes, and give you a joke I knew in my heart could never make you laugh. Odell Beckham Jr., Browns receiver, has been playing with the sports hernia this season. Which sucks because since he's in the NFL, he can't legally treat his pain with weed. But hats off to the MLB for removing marijuana from the list of drugs of abuse, of their list of drugs you can't do. I'll have a bit more on that. Antonio Brown, back down to 0 days without mentioning him. Michael Vick will be allowed to captain the Pro Bowl despite a petition. Players are tweeting dumb stuff at practice. I've got some injury updates and more NFL news you need. That's good. Sports. Hey, subscribe to this YouTube channel. But first, today's episode is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, the RPG that changes everything you know about RPGing. Raid has been downloaded 15 million times in the last 6 months and is one of the top 3 ranked RPGs on the Google Play Store. And it's just been nominated as a finalist for Google Play's Best of 2019 User's Choice Award. Raid is a free epic dark fantasy hero collection turn-based game with over 400 champions for you to collect and personally customize, with 16 new champions added every month. You can get tons of free champions, equipment, and other cool stuff just for learning to play. Once you complete the missions, you will get one of the best legendary champions in the game, the Arbiter, or as I call her, Dream Woman. You can see the Shadow Legends roadmap here, and the game is always adding updates and features, so you have infinite content to enjoy. So use my link in the description, and if you are a new player, you will get 100,000 silver, plus 50 gems, plus 1 energy refill, plus 1 free champion. Again, my link in the description for Raid Shadow Legends. Check it. First things first, weed, always at the top of the list. Pro Football Talk published an article about the MLB removing weed from its banned substance list. The old ball and stick boys will now not be tested for weed, but will continue to be tested for opioids, fentanyl, cocaine, and synthetic THC. Anything you'd basically find in Charlie Sheen or Jim Irsay's medicine cabinet, still not allowed. But this is a big step for baseball and for the NFL, who should be next to remove weed following baseball's lead. Or should I say, lead off? Should I say lead off? I already did. Now, this change happened based on negotiations with the Major League Baseball Players Association, which the NFLPA, the same thing but for football, is going to push for in the next collective bargaining agreement. Seeing baseball already do this hurts the NFL's leverage, in my opinion, and now it's just a matter of time before they acquiesce. The MLB will treat weed like alcohol, and players will only be disciplined if driving under the influence or possible illegal possession charges in bitch-ass states that didn't legalize weed yet. And with all of the scientific research we have now, it's clear the only downside of weed is that it being legal may cost Stephen A. Smith his career.
Stay off the weed! Oh. Duh!
Which some would actually say is a positive side effect of legal weed. Now, Vikings receiver Adam Thielen should return this week from a hamstring injury, but 49ers, they may be without Dee Ford until the playoffs. Also, with the hamstring injury, Dee Ford returns just in time to cost the 49ers a win in the postseason by lining up offsides. Saints wideout Michael Thomas is on pace to have the most catches for any receiver through his first 5 seasons. He's 39 catches away from passing Jarvis Landry. And the crazy part, Thomas is in his 4th season. He's going to shatter this record like Antonio Brown shatters his chances of returning to the NFL every time he gets on social media. Thomas is also 23 catches away from breaking the single-season reception record held by Marvin Harrison, or as I call him, the O.J. Simpson everyone forgets about. Peyton Manning delivered 143 catches to Marvin Harrison back in 2002, which is crazy because that's when defenses were still allowed to defend the pass with physicality. Thomas has 3 games to catch Marvin Harrison's record. Pun intended. I do owe my apologies to the Patriots, as it appears Kraft Sports Productions was actually producing another video for their docu-series Do Your Job. I apologize for believing you masterminded that entire series, now in its 2nd season, just to get 8 minutes of Bengals hand signals so you could defeat Cincinnati in this very important matchup. The NFL looked at the tapes and said, no foul here. From what we see, the Bengals are still terrible, which you could have gathered just by watching any game they have played on television. And if you go through this footage, you may actually come out the other end as a worse head coach, or any coach, not to point direct fingers. Odell Beckham Jr., how many excuses does he seem to make? How many quarterbacks has he lobbied to after losses this season? Right now, he's ineffective because he's had a sports hernia all season long. A sports hernia is a tear in the groin muscle, can be incredibly painful for athletes, debilitating, and drastically cause a decline in performance. Maybe Baker Mayfield was right when he criticized the Browns' medical staff for misdiagnosing Beckham.
Wasn't handled right. He's not able to run as well as he should be able to, as well as he knows, and that's frustrating for him. You can sense that's some of his frustration where that comes from. So it wasn't handled the right way in our training room. So it is what it is. And so his not 100% is still good enough for us.
Because clearly what Beckham is suffering from is not a sports hernia. Those symptoms are what you call playing for Freddie Kitchens. Now, Odell is officially on my shit list. I have 2 lists here at That's Good Sports. A shit list featuring players I no longer root for, and a Ritz list. A list of players I hope get all of the riches, all of the ritziest things in life. And it changes frequently because I am a fickle man. Now Beckham, shit list. You're becoming very annoying, dude. And you have a quarterback who is willing to throw the Browns medical staff under the bus for you. You get to play with your best friend in Jarvis Landry, but now that you're not the center of attention, you want out of Cleveland. Desperately gifting Tom Brady ugly shoes, supposedly asking Jimmy G if they have room for you in San Francisco. So this clip emerged this week of Jimmy G saying he had room for Odell, but this was before the 49ers traded for Emmanuel Sanders. Now, this offseason, I do think there would be a solid trade market for Odell Beckham Jr. because the Browns are clearly not better with him. And that trade market may actually include the 49ers, since Emmanuel Sanders will be an unrestricted free agent. But as Deebo Samuel and Kendrick Bourne develop, I don't think the 49ers will need him in 2020, even sans Sanders. Speaking of trade scenarios this offseason, yesterday I mentioned the Jets may try and trade Le'Veon Bell this offseason. The problem is that the Jets aren't going to get anything back for Bell because his contract is so steep for an underperforming running back. In fact, they might have to pay a chunk of it or give up a pick to a team with cap space if they want him out. Which at that point, you might as well just hang on to Bell and see if he can do anything better with a line that they can hopefully bolster this offseason. Don't count on it though, they're the goddamn Jets, and after all, I'm just waiting until Bell is a Steeler again while the Jets pay half of his salary. Pro Football Focus has rated George Kittle's 2019 season as the best ever by a tight end, including Rob Gronkowski. Kittle is amazing. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now. And I don't even mind Pro Football Focus's grading system. But for a bunch of football nerds, their football history stops basically at 2006. Mike Ditka, back in 1961, when footballs were made of rock, had 12 touchdowns and 1,076 receiving yards in a 14-game season. Kittle this year only has 4 touchdowns and 754 yards, albeit doing that with some injuries. And I guarantee you Mike Ditka could fucking block with the best of them. Kittle is getting a lot of love for blocking well this season, and he is doing that, but the story in San Francisco is their entire offensive line is blocking very well. They have done so despite injuries to their starting tackles through the majority of the season, and I think as a unit they deserve some love. Right now, Raheem Mostert and Matt Breida are ranked at number 1 and number 2 for running backs who lead the league in yards before contact. That is mostly an offensive line stat, meaning they get on average 3.7 and 3-point yards before the first defender touches them. They are the least molested backs in the league. Always something you want to be. And Mostert is averaging an insane 6 yards per carry right now. Everyone in San Francisco is blocking their buns off. New York Giants corner Janoris Jenkins tweeted out his stats, to which a fan responded, "How many of those stats contributed to any wins? ? Hashtag none, hashtag irrelevant." To which Janoris responded, "I can only do my job, ... retard." You can't say that, Janoris. But even worse, you can't defend that as slang later when asked about it.
Oh yeah. But at the end of the day, it's just part of my culture, part of my slang that I use. I wasn't calling nobody no name, like I said. I wasn't picking up nobody. I wasn't throwing shade at nobody. It's just a slang that I use back at home or with my homeboys or whatever.
The problem is that's not a slang word. That's a word everybody knows the meaning to, okay, Janoris? Also, words that Janoris Jenkins thinks are slang. Whale fucker, according to Jenkins, is just slang for a guy who literally has sex with a whale in the ocean.
It's just part of my culture.
That's my bread and butter. To Jenkins is just slang for his breakfast when he eats bread and butter. No wonder Bill Belichick hates social media.
You know, I hate social media. And we get rid of it all whenever we can.
If I were an NFL GM, this is what I would do. I'd only allow players for my organization to have social media accounts after they took a class titled How to Not Be a Fucking Idiot on Social Media.
You know, I hate social media.
And then they would have to pass a test on the class and a basic IQ test. And if they passed both of those things, then they could have their social media account. Now last Friday, I made a video called The Cowboys Are Terrible and Antonio Brown's Death Knell. Antonio Brown ended his chances at returning to New England by responding to Gillette Nation's reminder that Robert Kraft allowed a prostitute to place her fingers gently inside of his anus. That's what that video covered. This week, AB blew his chances of any team, I think, giving him another chance when he went on what is becoming standard practice of a AB Twitter tirade. I'm not gonna read through all the tweets. You can go to his Twitter account and read them if you want. It's just more dumb shit coming from the mind of a former player who should give Janoris Jenkins a call so they could both discuss how nothing they say is their fault and how they should never own up to any of their mistakes. And finally, a petition to not allow Mike Vick to be an NFL Legends Pro Bowl captain amassed 200,000 signatures last week. Despite protests from people who don't understand the justice system,
Hey, Vick did his time.
Michael Vick will remain one of the Pro Bowl legend captains this season. 200,000 signatures is about twice the amount of people who actually watch the fucking Pro Bowl, making this the dumbest petition in human history. Being a captain at the Pro Bowl is not a real honor. It's like winning the consolation bracket of your fantasy football league. Which is why I am very, very surprised the NFL didn't try to make Colin Kaepernick an honorary captain at the Pro Bowl. Now that would have been smart, NFL. I will work for your PR team for the price of $3 million a year. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube, on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna if you care to follow me there. And please do not Janoris Jenkins me or say anything that is obviously stupid. Unless like it's stupid because it's supposed to be stupid and it's funny and I get the joke. Then give me the stupidest shit you can think of.